Welcome back, guys. It's the Tightwad.
It is springtime here in Georgia. This is our first 10-day forecast with no temperatures in the 40s. So it is clear to start putting plants in the ground. And I'm going to start out with my garden around the mailbox with some vinca. Vinca like full sun, and they do really well in most conditions, even droughts. So they're a good plant to plant away from your house where you don't get to water as frequently. I started a little bit of the preparation last night with my shovel, just turning the soil a little bit, and I'll finish some of that today with the garden rake. This is the old mulch that I piled up last night. I'm going to be removing that from the bed because it hasn't broken down enough to really put down into the soil, and I'll put a nice bed of fresh mulch down, and I'll use this mulch elsewhere in my yard where it's not such a focal point. So first step is to prepare the soil. Second step is to add a soil amendment. It's not absolutely necessary with flowers, but I like to do it when beds haven't had any fresh soil put in them for a few years. I have my garden rake to get the rest of the rocks and break up the soil a little bit more. I have some brown mulch to go on top after I get my flowers planted. And I also like to use a time-release fertilizer. This one happens to be an Osmocote, but I like to put this down when I first put the plants in the ground, and then I really don't worry about them for the rest of the year.
The first thing I'm doing here is removing last year's mulch. I could till it down into the soil, but I have another place I can use it, so I'm just removing it. Next, I'm going around the edge to make sure there's no runners of my Bermuda grass growing into the bed, because that'll cause grass to grow up in my bed. You'll see that I'm picking out little pieces of the Bermuda grass or the roots as I go. And this is a good practice to go ahead and trench out the edge of your bed so that your grass doesn't grow in and look bad. And here's an example of some of the roots for my Bermuda grass that I'm removing. Once I have most of the edging done, I then go into the interior of the bed and start turning the soil. I'm simply driving my shovel down into the soil and flipping it over, and then I'll come back and rake it smooth. Here you see I swapped the spade shovel for my garden rake, and I'm raking out all of the clumps in the soil and getting it nice and smooth. Now I'm adding my soil amendment, which is a garden soil. Make sure that you use garden soil and not potting soil when you're planting in beds that are going to be in-ground plants. And now I'm using my garden rake to rake in the new soil amendment with the existing soil. You can see I kind of push it down in certain areas. I'm trying to work it into the top 2 to 3 inches of the existing soil.
When you get plants like this in a pot, you don't want to pull by the stem. The easiest is to take your finger and push it right into the center of the bottom, and then you can get the whole plant out at once. I'm also not going to just stick this in the ground. I'm going to loosen up the bottom with my fingers like this to let those roots get a chance to start spreading so that they can find the nutrients and water that they need. So I'll break them up just a little bit, and then I'll plant them into the ground.
My goal in this step is to fill the space with alternating colors of plants and try to keep them in some type of rows. So if you go alternating in one row like I'm doing now, and then you stagger the next row, you'll have not only rows the way I'm planting now, but you'll also have diagonal rows of the same colored plant. You'll see once I'm done.
When you're planting with 2 different colors, sometimes you'll have plants like this one that don't have a flower on them, or like these 2 here. So I always try to take out the plant that doesn't have a flower first so that I still know which color I'm working with.
Now you can see how alternating colors in a straight line and then staggering the colors on the next line creates diagonals of the same color, giving it a really nice effect. And here's the finished product of all of my flowers in the bed. Don't forget to add your fertilizer before you start adding your mulch to your bed. Once your plants are all in place and the fertilizer's down, it's time to add a layer of mulch. I prefer the brown mulch, but it is available in red, black, and natural colors in most stores. And the final step is to water it in nice and deep. That means applying small amounts of water to each section, letting them soak in, and then applying more water so that it soaks all the way down past the top layer of soil. I hope you found this video helpful. If you did, give me a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel. Click any of the videos shown on the screen now and they'll open right up on your device. Leave any questions you have in the comment section below, and I hope you guys have a great day.